happy to report my bracket is still kind of intact, but this gave me a bit of a scare yesterday. Duke, the #1 overall seed, spooked early in the tournament against Siena, led for most of the game. 13-point lead at 1 point for Siena, but the Blue Devils turned it on in the second half. They won 71-65. Second half surge makes sense after we heard this.
Just first game, I feel like a lot of us was kind of nervous or just got punched first, so we just got to respond back. Going in the second half, be ready.
What did Shire tell you in the locker room?
Yeah, obviously we weren't playing our basketball. Just like I said, we thought it was going to be a cakewalk going into this game, so now we know what it is, and we just got to respond back the way we usually do.
A cakewalk, huh, Maliq Brown? I guess not so much. What do you make of those comments, Coach?
Well, I thought that Maliq Brown was basically saying what Coach Shire said to them. You guys think it was going to be a cakewalk. You know what? These guys won a bunch of games. They won a league tournament, and they were ready to play. And if you guys aren't ready to play, we're going to get our ass kicked. That's exactly what probably John Shire said. And we got to get our blank in gear and compete the way we expect you to compete at Duke. And basically, that was just Maliq Brown basically saying that back to Tracy. Now, look, did he need to share that? I'm not sure if he needed to share that, but in the end, he did share it, and it became a good story. But they did respond.
First of all, a couple of things. Can we remember it's a college student, and what he was doing was answering the question that was asked to him. There's no crime in that. First of all, we got to be careful of being critical of people that's just answering the damn question. He was being honest. He was like, "Yo, we thought we had it. We thought it was a." What athlete do you know hasn't walked into some situation at some point in time in their career, particularly when they're superior, and they didn't have a cockiness about them thinking, please, this ain't nothing. This is a 1 seed against a 16 seed, okay? Only 2 times in history has a #1 seed been knocked off by a 16, in the first round. We get that part, okay? We saw it happen in Virginia against UMBC years ago, and obviously, I forgot who it was that Phil Dickinson knocked off, if I remember correctly, right? So, again, you got all of that.
Yep.
So you're looking at it, it happens. And you know what? Him being honest about it, I think this actually helps Duke. Because now they know, listen, if we couldn't afford to take the 16th seed Siena, for granted, we damn sure can't do it with anybody else moving forward. It actually benefits them, to be quite honest with you. And I don't hold it against the kid at all. He was just being honest, and it's all right.
No, it's a kid making comments. No problem whatsoever. That stuff happens. But the fact that it happened is worth addressing. Because, Stephen A., you make the point about how you'll see teams, elite athletes, they'll get cocky from time to time. Mike Tyson against Buster Douglas is something that comes to mind, but these are generally individuals and or teams that are on a run that hasn't raised any red flags up until the moment of trouble. Duke's had red flags. Last year with Cooper Flagg, that team was supposed to win the entire thing. They came up short against Houston. So you would think the mindset this year would be, we're going to finish the job, all right? Number 2, when you've got 2, as Coach has brought up, not 1 but 2 starters that are injured coming in, you got to realize this is an all-hands-on-deck situation. You can't overlook anybody. So the fact that it happened in general, given the red flags Duke was facing, coming into the most brutal region in the entire tournament that features UConn and Michigan State and Kansas and St. John's, that's what's worrisome. The comments are the comments. It's a kid, no problem. But the fact that Duke allowed that to happen, given all the red flags leading up to that moment, that's what stands out to me, given the comments and the situation.
You make a good point.
Joey. Wait a second. Love the sport code. Very, very fancy. I love the sport code. But you also have to settle into a game. It takes time to settle into the game. I mean, 3 freshmen starting for Duke. It's their first NCAA tournament game. It took them a while to settle into the game. And once they settled into the game, they made some adjustments. John Shire showed some great agility by going some zone. And they did what they had to do to get past it. Look, you're not going to blow out people. You're playing teams that expect to win. And everyone thinks you're going to blow out a team in the first 5 minutes. It doesn't happen that way in the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
It does against Siena. You're 28.5-point favorite.
Well, listen, I understand that. But again, you come out there and you're like, please, we 28.5-point favorites for a reason. It ain't just because of what we bring to the table. It's because of what we know they don't. We supposedly know what they don't bring to the table. That's why they're a 16th seed. You took it for granted. You almost got caught. You caught yourself. You corrected your errors. And you handled your business. It's just that simple. The other part to bring to the equation is this. Cam Boozer. We've been raving about him all year long or whatever. How about his little brother? How about his little brother that settled them down? How about his little brother that finished with 19 points? How about his little brother that showed that he know how to run a damn basketball team? He played a damn good game, so we got to take that into consideration as well and give props where props is due.
I'll say this. Duke is the first 1 seed to trail by double digits at halftime against the 16 seed. I think it made everyone nervous. I loved the honesty, though, from Maliq Brown. Like, that's what we always ask for, some honesty. But were we more disappointed with Duke's first half or impressed by their comeback? It sounds like, Coach, you were more impressed with their comeback in the second half. Can we even call it that, though, a comeback? I don't know. If you think they just settled down?
I was impressed with their poise. I was impressed with John Shire going zone and basically disrupting the rhythm of Siena's offensive game plan. I was impressed with those guys' ability with all that pressure. Here's number 1 and number 16 going head to head with all that pressure. All they did was respond. And if you look at the numbers between the first half and the second half, it's 9 points in transition. They had 0 in the first half. That means defensively they were getting deflections and getting out in transition. They were sharing the basketball and the leadership. You're talking about 3 freshmen. And Caden was, Steve and I agree with you 100%. Caden was absolutely terrific. You see only 22 points allowed, and you see what happened defensively once they got stops. They were able to get out in transition and beat Duke basketball. But Caden was terrific. Cam was terrific. They responded when they got punched in the face. You got a choice. You can respond when you face a tough situation. How are you going to respond? Having that situation and then seeing them respond with the spotlight on them, that is absolutely huge and big picture for them in the tournament.
But again, it's Siena. It's not impressive that you handled Siena for 20 minutes. It's disappointing that you dug such a hole to open the tournament. If this was the Final Four or the Elite Eight and you were bouncing back against Florida or someone like that, that's one thing. Houston made mincemeat of the opposition. 2 seed, went out, handled business early, all the way through, blew out the team by 30. You don't have to win by 30, but the fact that you dug that hole is far more disappointing than the fact that you played better than them in the second half. You're supposed to. You're Duke.
Joey, well, are they playing tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Is Duke playing tomorrow?
Yes.
So, like, you survive in advance. Jimmy Valverde said that a long time ago. Survive in advance.
Hold on, Coach. Now, hold on. It's not that simple, Coach. It's not like Joe doesn't have a reason. I mean, now you're going a little bit too far to the other side, Coach. No. It ain't just about them playing tomorrow. It's how they looked in getting to tomorrow. And they did not look good in that first half. Now, I'm not going to hold it against Maliq Brown for acknowledging that they took them for granted and stuff like that. But they still looked the way that they looked. And if we're being honest and keeping it a buck, whereas we'll look at a DeBonza at BYU that goes out after dropping 35 points. Where we look at a Darius Acuff who drops 24 in Arkansas's win yesterday. When we see these kind of things, and then we saw Cam Boozer. Even though this is a Player of the Year candidate who deserves all the acclaim and all the praise he's received as a college player, we're looking at him and projecting what he'll be on the next level. And let's just be honest, it didn't look that impressive. We don't get to ignore that just because they're playing this weekend. We got to look at the fact that, wait a minute, he didn't look that great last night, okay? Whereas his little brother, Caden Boozer, not a single, I talked about 19 points, 56% shooting. Didn't have a single turnover. Now, that was against Siena, that's true. I get that part. But considering, that he's not somebody that's usually relied upon to be in that position, he's there because of injuries that they've sustained. And to step into an NCAA tournament game for the first time and to play that many minutes and to drop 19 points and to shoot 56% from the field and to not have a single turnover, that is something we can celebrate. Whereas with Cam Boozer, we're like, yo, bro, I mean, I'm looking to see that top 5 NBA pick show up and show out and show that you a man amongst boys. I didn't see that yesterday. I did not see that.
You better bring it against TCU. You better bring it against TCU is a bunch of grown men.
The only other time Duke trailed by double digits at half came back in 2001 in the Final Four against Maryland. You know who helped bring them back? Carlos Boozer, who dropped 19 points in that comeback.
What a note.
Both his sons had 19 or more yesterday in their comeback. You definitely took the first half point spread, and you're not going to tell me otherwise. Let's go to a quick take. The women's tournament gets going in just over an hour here.